Sometimes we have people in New York City and California who are watching our podcast. So happy to have you with us today. We have a most interesting guest you'll be meeting in a few minutes. First, we want to share with you who our sponsor is for today's podcast. And it is all the people, all the residents who volunteer their time to help out at Wellspring. Maybe helping out with bingo, maybe helping out with some music or special programs or bakery items, whatever it might be. We know that there's a small group of dedicated people who appreciate having the opportunity to help out at Wellspring. So we thank them, and next time you see somebody who's going to Wellspring to volunteer, just tell them you appreciate all that they do for Friendship Village. And just another point here, before we go too far, I want to share a quick joke, okay? What do you call a cow with a twitch? A cow with a twitch is sometimes called beef jerky.
Okay.
Okay. Did you hear about the two spiders who got engaged? They met on the web.
Okay. Woohoo.
Okay. So, with that behind us, let's get on to the main focus for today, and that is to interview our guest. And I'll let Mary introduce her.
All right. Our guest today does not live here. She is from Waterloo, though, and her name is Jana Poole-Fairbanks. She is in charge of the costume shop at the Community Playhouse here in Waterloo. I've known Jana for, several years, and she does alterations and things at her home for people outside of the theater, too. She's just one of these very busy ladies, plus she babysits for grandchildren, too. So it's hard to catch her, but I got her pinned down so we could do a podcast with her. I thought that her job and things that she has done could be very interesting to people. So, Jana, we'll start out with, where were you born and raised?
Okay, first off, thank you, Mary, and thank you, Phil, for having me here. I'm from Memphis, Missouri. Grew up in Missouri and went to school in Missouri, got an undergrad at Northeast Missouri State, it's Truman State now, to be a teacher, and came up here to work at KinderCare that eventually closed, and that in turn is how I got up here. My mother had moved up to Waterloo, but to work for Area 7 Education Agency, and then I followed. But my sewing experience began when I was about 10 years old. I had a little money, and I decided to go to the store, and I bought a little jumper pattern, and I bought some plaid fabric and a hidden zipper, and I went home, and I made a jumper. I made a dress. Had buckles here and a hidden zipper, and I matched my plaids, and my mom, who was at a meeting all night, and she came home and she woke me up, and she said, "Did you make that jumper?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You matched your plaids. You put in a hidden zipper. You put buckles on it. When did you learn to sew?" And I said, "I don't know. I guess just from watching you." I had no idea. I just took to it. And she said, "Well, I had put Scotch tape for my hem." Because I said, "I don't know how to do a blind hem. I know that's what you do, but I didn't know how to do one. So I just put Scotch tape so I could wear it to school." True story. And she said, "Wow, so now you can sew now." And I guess I started sewing, and I started making costumes when I was 10 years old. Making a pumpkin costume for my little sister for a Halloween project, and it just grew from there. And then in junior high, we did a play called Little Red and Friends, And I said, well, I'll be Little Red because I have a red cape. And I put a hood on the cape, and I just started sewing and have never looked back.
You are a natural. Absolutely.
It just
natural.
came naturally. Yeah.
Yes.
Almost supernatural.
All right.
Well, I know I don't know a lot about computers, and some people are natural. They picked up a computer and they just knew what to do. Mine was the sewing machine. I just knew my way around a sewing machine.
Wow.
And I don't use a lot of patterns. Some I do, but I can see a dress. And what I do is I back it out in my head how it's made from the beginning. And then I can picture it when I'm cutting it. I can picture it to cut. Well, this goes here to here to here to the finished product. And that's just how I've always sewed.
And do you take pictures of everything that you make?
I used to. And I used to have a portfolio, oddly enough. I had a little convertible, and I had a portfolio that just had pictures in it and labeled. And when I'd go to someone's house and make them curtains, I always took a picture. But that portfolio got stolen out of my car one time.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what they thought they were getting, but they probably threw it away, and it meant nothing to anyone except me.
Yeah.
But I do have, my daughter says, Mom, you need to start taking pictures of your shows and what you do. I have some, but not a lot, not that,
All right. I'm going to back up for just a minute. Now, you were raised in Missouri.
Yep.
And how about brothers and sisters?
I grew up with a mom and dad. My dad was county clerk in our hometown, and my mom was an education specialist at a diagnostic clinic in another town, and so she had a long drive. And I have an older brother and a younger sister and a younger brother. So there's 4 kids, and we're Joel, Jana, Jamie, and Jay.
Okay.
Jay Kelly. We were all named in the J's.
And do they live around here?
My sister lives in California. My oldest brother lives in Missouri. He's in Columbia, Missouri. And then my younger brother, who we're pretty close. We're all pretty close. He lives in Cedar Falls.
Okay.
So he was a social worker.
All right.
So, yeah.
And then along the way, you met your husband, your first husband.
Yep, met my first husband. I got a job at Kindercare. And on the weekends, I was working at a flower shop, Sherwood Florist. And somebody came in and they invited me out to dinner. And I didn't know the person, but the secretary said, of the flower shop, said, well, I'll go with you. My husband and I'll go with you. I said, okay, I'll feel better. And we went to the Colony Club for dinner. And it was a Friday night. Do you remember the Colony Club? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I went back the next Monday and I said, I need a part-time night job. Because I worked in the day and I had weekend. I just liked to work. I was young, single. And he said, okay, you can start next weekend. And so I started working a couple nights a week. And their son was the chef, and I met him. And we got married and had 2 kids. And
okay.
so then, yeah.
How long were you married?
We got divorced and then he died. It was right at about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And for, let's say 10 years.
Okay.
I was pretty young. And then I met my other husband.
Okay.
And then we got married, and we've been married for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So a long time.
Very good.
And you've had
And we have a daughter together.
a daughter.
And I have a stepson. Now I have 2 sons. My oldest is a clinical psychologist in Des Moines. And my other son is assistant manager of a restaurant in Waterloo. And my stepson works at John Deere and some mechanical something at John Deere. And my daughter is an actress in Minneapolis.
Oh.
So I just went up there this weekend, and she was in Hamlet.
Oh.
And she wasn't just in Hamlet. She was Hamlet. She played Hamlet, and it was amazing. Wow. Yeah, she did an amazing job. And it's a long show. It's almost 4 hours, and they cut some of it out. Yeah, they cut some of it out because more than half the dialogue's hers. But they did a really good job. It was a small theater, but intimate theater, but they did a really good
How
job.
long has she been in Minneapolis?
She graduated from, college in 17 from UNI, and then in theater, and then moved up like a year later and interned or whatever got a job at a theater, and she does some work there, and then she works at, she likes acting, and she takes what gigs she can get, and then she works at First Ave. It's a venue that hosts musical. Prince, I guess, owned it, and it's his place.
Did.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it has several venues that host musical people and up and coming people, and she works there part time, and so she calls it her survival job.
Is she single?
She's single, yes.
Because we wouldn't have time to have a family, probably.
No, not really. She does a lot, so yeah.
Now, she's paid for her acting.
She gets paid, yes,
She gets paid.
but not a lot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you have to supplement.
Yeah, that's why she
Yeah.
has her survival job, and it's not cheap to live in the cities.
No.
It's expensive. She has a roommate, Noah Heine. I think he's from Des Moines. It's just her friend,
Yeah.
but they share the rent because but it's a.
It's really expensive to live alone. You've got to have two
Oh,
or
she
three
couldn't.
people,
Yeah, she couldn't
two or
afford
three people
probably
living.
alone.
You rent these places and they have several bedrooms, and then you have a common kitchen.
Yes.
But you have to have other people help pay the rent.
Oh.
All my grandkids have done that.
Oh, you have to. It's
Yeah.
just too expensive to live on your own.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Until you can get a really good paying job, and then you meet a spouse or someone,
Right.
and they have a good job. Then you can afford
Even
to
then,
rent.
you have takes two
Mhm.
to insurance and etc. So.
So when did you acquire the job at the theater as the costume?
Well, I've
manager?
always sewn and done costumes forever, and then somebody approached me, and I said, "Oh, I'm just really busy right now." Then your daughter called me, and it's probably been about 10 years ago, and said, I told you last year, Jana, you need to get down here." I said, "I know," and somebody else stopped me and said, "We need you to do a couple shows." And she said, "Greg is losing it. The costumer walked off. We need some help." I said, "Okay." So I called him, and he said, "Come down." And he said, "I need this, this, and this." And I did it. And he said, "Okay, now what shows do you want to do?" And I said, "I'll do that show, and I'll do that show." And he said, "Great. Those are the two I was worried about. Sounds good." So I just started costuming shows, and then the costume shop manager, a sweet little lady, who just passed recently, not very long ago. She was retiring, Sandy, and they hired someone to manage the shop, and it didn't work out. So then Norman said, "You want to manage the shop part-time?" And I said, "Yeah, I can, but I can't work a lot of hours." He goes, "It's fine, whatever you want, whatever you can do." So I just took it over and I started managing it, and we're only open a day a week, but I do a lot of appointments with high schools and theaters and independent people that are going to some fundraiser or function or a murder mystery or you name it. Weddings, they have these theme weddings now, and
I have been in the costume shop.
I've been there too,
Yeah.
with Don Benson. You remember Don?
Yes,
of course.
Don Benson. Does that name ring a bell from here?
from Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He
from
passed away,
Friendship
but-
Village.
Don Benson?
Yeah.
When did he come in? When did you guys come in?
Wow, I don't know,
Been quite a
3
while.
years ago, something.
What'd you guys rent?
Oh, for the programs he used to put on.
Yeah, for the programs he
Don did some programs for Friendship Village, and they were like a play type of thing, and a lot of us took part. I did one time, and he probably came down to get some costumes
Yeah.
for
yeah.
the plays. That he wrote them. He wrote these plays.
It sounds so familiar, and when you say Friendship Village, that sounds familiar too. Don't ask me why, but it sounds familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. So one of his programs was doing kind of a spoof on some well-known movies.
yes,
So we came down to look for some costumes.
The one I was in was Hairspray, and we wore big wigs, and we wore
Poodle.
60s poodle skirts.
poodle skirts, and there was another lady and I that did that one. I don't know where he got the stuff. We met, and he gave us our costumes. We tried them on, made adjustments.
And you did spoofs of these.
Yeah.
See, this out, so it sounds so familiar.
Okay.
I rent a lot of stuff to people, and I get confused. But if I've met him, but you were in the shop.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you remember me? Because I don't remember you, but
No, I don't.
See,
I'm
so
sorry.
I don't feel so bad
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm guessing it's been about 3 years ago. It would have been me
Okay.
there.
All right.
And he's been gone at least that long.
So he was one of the guys that would call and make an appointment. So we
Okay.
came. Yeah.
Okay. So is John passed?
Don.
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 Yeah, he has.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
A couple of years ago.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yeah.
I was Red Butler.
You were Rhett Butler.
Yeah.
Who was your Scarlett? Was it Mary Miller?
It was.
Yeah,
Mary
it was
Miller.
Mary Miller. That's Scarlett O'Hara.
That was probably funny.
Come in a minute. Come in.
Sorry.
We're doing a podcast.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right.
We
Thank you.
got you on the air now.
He'll bleep it out.
Okay. That's fine.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. That's fine.
Anyway, so how long have you worked at the costume shop?
I'm guessing about 8.5 years.
Okay.
About that. I'm guessing I've been down there about 9.5 or 9, and it wasn't, but about 6 months later I
Right
started.
now, are you working on one right now? Any play?
I just finished Silent Sky, and then somebody else is costuming Kinky Boots, but I did help. I made some shorts and stuff for Kinky Boots, but a couple of the drag queens are costuming Kinky
Okay.
Boots. And then they had to order the boots. So then we're doing The Hobbit after that, and another young girl is doing The Hobbit, and then we're doing a play called 39 Steps, which is a mystery, I guess, and I'm costuming it. And then I will be doing Beauty and the Beast for Christmas, before Christmas.
Okay.
We're
And
doing
that's been
Beauty and
done
the
before.
What?
Yeah.
That was done before.
Several times. It was only done in 18.
Mm-hmm.
So why they're
Yeah.
doing it this soon?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I costumed it. And I'm sure you did. I'm sure you went with Linda.
Neil Peterson was in it.
Neil Peterson.
Neil Peterson was my beast. Yes, he was. And Josh was my Cogsworth. And Nate Smith was my Lumiere. And it was a fun show.
Good play. So I can see why they might want to do it again, because they'll attract another audience.
It will. That's just it. You got to have the money makers. And little girls, most of them have grown up when they were 3 years old watching Beauty and the Beast, and it became a success for Disney, and then they made it a musical play, and now that they made it a movie. I mean, and if it wasn't for little girls that were 3 years old, my daughter, one of them, after preschool in the mornings, she'd come home and she'd have her little lunch, and she'd want to watch Beauty and the Beast, and she wanted to be Belle. She, and little girls kind of made that famous.
Right.
So, yep.
Well, they've done numerous plays there, and all types for all types of people that want to
They
go see
certainly
some of
have.
these plays.
And the tried and true, they pack them in.
Yes.
So, and that's our moneymaker. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And COVID really hurt them for a while.
COVID hurt everyone.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did. It did.
It was a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you.
But
I'm
you
sure-
probably stayed busy.
What?
You probably stayed busy.
I stayed pretty busy, yeah. But our theater was closed for
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
6 months, so
Yeah.
almost a year, basically. But yeah, I stayed busy doing stuff. People still got married and, everything. So school still went on
Still-
because I worked for part-time for the schools.
Okay. What did you do there?
I was a preschool teacher, but I sub right now. And I have subbed for years, and they're desperate for subs, so I sub about 2 days a week, every week, at least.
So tell us about your grandchildren.
I only have one. Well, I have a step-grandson that's 21. He graduated early from West High. Was just always the love of my life. I babysat him when he was tiny. And he joined the Army, and he was stationed in Hawaii, and he decided he'd become a helicopter pilot mechanic, and he went to Virginia to be a helicopter mechanic school, and he's now a helicopter mechanic in Georgia.
Okay.
And then my second, 20 years later, I have my second grandbaby, and he's Jordan, my middle child's son. And he's 3, and he's now the love of my life. He's
All right.
my best guy. And I babysit every Tuesday, and I keep him overnight. He stayed all night, and then his dad picked him up today. And Tuesdays is the day I go take care of my mom.
Okay.
I do Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Okay.
And I take Jetty over there, and I kill 2 birds with one stone.
Right. Right.
I've got one 93 and one 3.
And does she still live in her own home?
She's living in her own home.
Great.
And we have caregivers that come over, and we've got a granny cam, nanny cam. That helps out a lot. So I can check on her anytime and see that she's sleeping or if everything's going okay.
Good. So
yeah.
good.
Yeah, but I got my own home to run, and I sew out of my home. That's where you've been before.
Right. I know where your house is.
Yep. But I stay pretty busy, and the costuming is just what I love.
You like to create.
I love to create. I love to do my interpretations. I remember my daughter, Michael, your grandson, was the music director for Oz. And Maddie was 15, and she got the part of Dorothy. And she said, "Oh, great, Mom, you get to make my dress." Well, the costume at the time said, "No, I don't want anybody making a dress. I have a dress."
Oh.
And they had gotten it from in '08 when the big flood came. And it came through Cedar Rapids, and a costume shop had closed. And so they got some of these costumes. And it was fine, but it just looked well loved, and it was kind of dowdy looking. And Maddie said, "Mom, it's just baggy and it doesn't look good." I said, "Okay, I will make your dress." The thing about the Dorothy dress, it's so iconic. You can't it has to look like the Dorothy dress. There's no interpretation of that, right? Probably one of the most recognizable dresses.
Right.
So I made her this dress, and she would go in the dressing room, and she'd take the other dress, and she'd put it in the bag, and she'd put the one I made her and put it on, and she'd go on stage. And so she did that for several weeks. So
Okay.
it worked out fine. But sometimes you can put your own spin on a costume and what you want the character to look like.
Right.
Yeah. But some things are like that dress. Certain things you just have to, they have to be what they are.
Right.
So, yeah. But we did Shrek last Christmas. I made literally, I think I made 60 costumes. Wow. Put them together. Yeah, I thought I was going to go crazy. It was very stressful, and I was exhausted by the end. My sister called me the Octo Mom because I was taking care of my mom and working at the school and running the shop, and I was spinning. But it worked out really good, and I made a lot of things look. The Fiona dress looked like the one on Broadway. It looked like that dress, but some of the things I put my own spin on them.
Sure.
Yeah. And green, I would call it my signature color. I don't think I've ever done a show that I don't emphasize green, and usually one of my leads will be wearing green. It's just a color I really like on stage, and Shrek was a lot of green.
I think it is.
So
yeah.
it worked out really good. Yep. Let's see. The sewing part, like I said, I don't use a lot of patterns. It'll be in my head, and I will draw things out, and I do a lot of measuring. And then, I just start putting it together, and I made my first Humpty Dumpty costume.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I just visioned it, and I knew it'd be lined, and I knew this, and I started cutting it out and sewing it together, and I sewed it all together. I turned it inside out, and my little helper's like, "That looks just like a Humpty Dumpty costume." I said, "Yeah, I don't know how I did. I don't even know how I did that.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of came together." And he loved it. A lot of people wouldn't want to be wearing something silly.
No.
But this character, Angel, he's just quite the guy. He just said, "I love it. The sillier, the better." It's Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Shrek has a lot of the characters,
Yeah.
fairy tale characters. Yeah.
Right.
So, but
Right.
it worked
Well,
out.
we haven't talked about your husband. What does he do?
My husband works at John Deere.
Mm-hmm.
Worked at John Deere, spent like 34 years there, and retired. He likes to hunt and fish when he can. He's kind of getting a little older. Right now, I just dropped him off yesterday at the airport. He went to Texas to see a couple guy friends of his, that one of them has a place. Well, they both have a little place down there, and Mark wanted to go fishing, so they're going to charter a boat and go out fishing. This is like on the week. But he is a woodworker and built our house. Was a main. He didn't frame it, but he did all the finish work. He's a finish carpenter. He builds gorgeous furniture. He built my Harvest dining room table out of walnut. He built a sideboard. Built my daughter's 4-poster bed. So yeah, he loves woodworking.
Good.
Yeah,
Is he involved in the community theater at all?
No, he doesn't.
No.
He likes to. He could. Was a painter, and when Deers would be laid off, he'd always have a side gig of painting and wallpapering. He had a paint and wallpaper business for years. But he just doesn't as much. He's helped a little bit, but
Okay.
no, I don't know if it's because they don't pay the volunteers. I don't know. But I don't want him around my costume shop.
No.
No, he doesn't sew, and I don't want him telling me what he thinks I should do, because he might do that.
Oh, okay.
Well, now I think you should. Well, you don't sew, so
No.
yeah, right. So there's that.
I don't even thread a needle anymore. I don't know if I can see to do it.
Well, he doesn't either, but you know how people always have an opinion.
Yeah.
We've all got a story. We've all got an opinion about how it should be done.
Yeah.
And I laugh when people will call me. I got the littlest alteration for you. Do you think you can do it? It should be simple. Well, if it was that simple, they'd be doing it, right? And people don't know what they don't know. But I would never tell my car mechanic, "Oh, it's probably the littlest thing. It's probably nothing." I would never say that, because I don't know cars that much. So, but everybody wears clothes, and they probably say, "Oh, it's probably nothing." They don't know. And some might go, "Oh, it's probably really hard." And I look, I'm like, "No, it's not that bad. I got this." People know what they know.
Right.
And they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
But there is a sign that says, alterations. If you offer to help, it costs you more. If you've already started on it, it'll cost you way more. If you stand and watch, it costs you more. So that kind of makes me laugh.
Just bring it to you and you'll take care of it.
I'll measure you. I'll get you fitted. We'll do that. And yeah, I got this.
Right.
I always tell them, I got it.
You are
It's
a
okay.
whiz. I would say you are a whiz.
Thank you.
I've sure enjoyed knowing you over these past few years.
Mary, it's my pleasure to know you too. You have always had such a good attitude, and just
Well, I've appreciated what you've done for me, which wasn't a whole lot.
it wasn't
But what you've
much
done
at all.
for our family at different stages.
And I've done a few things for. I made your daughter a dog cushion, because the doggy sat at the end of the bed on something, and she goes, "I just need a cushion made
Yeah.
to cover this, because the dog always sleeps
Yeah.
on that."
I've seen it.
So I've done that. So yeah.
yeah. If
Were you aware that Friendship Village has sponsored a couple of
Yes.
production?
Well, they did for years. A lot.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, they
I'm
did
just-
for years because their name would be Friendship Village would be in big bold letters.
Okay.
So I knew they were a main sponsor for a number of years.
All right.
I think they even sponsor some at the Gallagher.
They.
Could, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was a member of Community Concerts.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Community Concert?
Mm-hmm.
And I know they were a sponsor of theirs too.
Okay.
And Community Concerts had usually about 5 concerts a year.
Well, I'm thinking of a couple of productions. I can't put my finger on what they were, but Beauty and the Beast sounded like one of them.
It could have been.
And,
Oh,
anyway, we had a little reception after the performance, and the cast came down and the others, and it was just kind of a fun time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the name Friendship Village on certain things. Now, we did Beauty and the Beast. Oh, we've done it, I think, 3 times now.
Okay.
Now we're going to do it 4 times. Yes, I'm sure we did it. I don't remember when. I want to say maybe 2009, 8, and then we did it in 18, and now we're going to do it again.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly, but I know I went to it. And I think we did it in 2005 because my mom got my daughter and I tickets, and Maddie and I went to it. Brian McCarty, who's kind of a legendary actor in town, he plays in a band, and he played the Beast. I remember that.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're coming to a close
We
here.
are. Yes.
Thank you.
The time has just gone by so fast.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Well, you're certainly
this. Has
welcome.
been fun, and
Good.
And in a way, it could be a little advertising for you,
that'd be a
like
good
you
thing.
needed.
Yeah.
No, well, the
Could
shop
you give
could
us your
always
home
use it.
phone in case anybody wants to call us? And
Certainly. Now,
I don't
here's the
know.
deal. The shop, I have people that came last week said, somebody told me about this. I had no idea this was even here. I've lived here my whole life. So it's not as recognizable as you would think.
No.
Yeah.
And there are people that come up there and say, oh, we were going to order something on the internet, and a friend of mine said that there's a costume shop up here. We've never even been here. We've never even knew this existed.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it's just to look at it. It's it's
Yeah.
pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Been there.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But
Well-
anytime we can get anybody coming up and looking, we appreciate it.
Okay.
So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks, you guys.
Well, thank you.
So when does this podcast air?
We'll finish here. And then we'll
4 weeks.
Are we done?
Well,
It could be.
he's got an ending, and
Okay,
then,
I'm
then
sorry.
he'll unplug.
I thought you were done.
We're going to end this way.
Okay.
May the good Lord bless and keep you until we meet once again. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.